Welcome to week number 35 of my 260 week project of making $1 million. I'm going to go through this with telling you about my finances, my work, what I'm doing with my work, and then some bonus content. My finances, I have negative $2,642.49. That's the difference between my credit cards and checking accounts. I have something like $7,000 in checkings, but a lot of it is, I'm not going to get super into the details of that right now. But I started a weekly list of my money and finances to try and get like a good grasp on where my money is going. And I have been reducing that debt over the past 4 weeks. So that's good. I'm actually increased by $2,000 over the past 4 weeks. For work, I work 32 hours a week for a guy who does like doors, windows, and cabinetry stuff. And that's going pretty good. That's where most of my work and time goes to, and that's where that's where most of the majority of my income comes from also. I coach track and field. When it's a meet day, that's about 12 hours a week. If they have a track meet, and then otherwise it's like 7.5 hours a week. And I just got my first paycheck for that. It's like a stipend, so it's not huge, but for a full season, I get paid something like $1,800 after taxes. I just got my first paycheck of like $900, and everything helps. That was a huge boost. School, I do night classes, and that's 5 hours a week. That's not work per se, but it is work related in that it's woodworking, and it's like directly contributing to me getting better at what I do. Oh, and actually in the woodworking class, I'm creating a commission for a friend for nightstands. So that's once a week, 5 hours. Fridays and weekends, I work for myself. So this past Friday, I worked for $50 an hour, and I repaired some things for a person. Like he had a cabinet falling apart. I just took it apart, sanded it, glued it, and I fixed some old box he had. And then next week I'm going back and working for him again. I made a deal to work for a little bit less, so for like $35 an hour, and it's just sanding. He wants a table refinished. It's still more than what I make at my regular job, and it feels good to have like my own private clients and kind of get a feel for what it's like to work get my own projects. Another project that I'm working that I'm very excited about, I know I mentioned it in the last week, but it is creating speakers. So I just got a deposit for one speaker, and I'm gonna wait like a day or two to see if the other person responds. He said he did want it, but I'll be making some super sick speakers pretty soon, and I'm super excited about that. Another thing is for my own work is creating rattles. Jude's rattle right here. So I need to make more of these. I recently sold 7 of them, which is probably like the biggest bundle that I've sold in like a week's notice. One person bought 5, one person bought 2. So that was a huge help for me, and also gave me some motivation to finish up my rattle jig, which I'm going to show you right now. This is the rattle stock, and I spin this on a lathe. And while I spin it on the lathe, I use a tool to like shape it cylindrical to look like the ones I just showed you. Now to speed up the process, while this is spinning, I'm working on creating a jig, and it's the contour of the rattle. The rattle is spinning right here, if you can imagine it, and then there's a spinning blade that will come out of here, and as it sits on there, as these 2 objects spin, the theory is that it will be able to produce a nicer and faster rattle. Last thing, I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, I was making a big push to get my residential contractor's license, and it was a real bummer. I did not get it because I didn't have the right paperwork signed, and that was so annoying because it took me like 4 months. I had to get signed affidavits from notaries from like, it was 6 people from like 3 states and another country. And so I'm going to get back into that, but I'm just going to give it a little bit of a rest for now. And that was because of my naivety of trusting ChatGPT. It's been such an asset for me in like organizing things, figuring out how to do stuff. It's super helpful, but like it was very confident in its wording that it would work. And then I went to the place and I didn't accept it, which was so annoying, but I learned a lot. You can't always trust ChatGPT. So double check if you're using that. Bonus content. Bonus content is like connecting with myself, which is in many dimensions. And there's a lot that I want to achieve in this life. I don't know, I don't want to necessarily call it achieving. Like I want to live a life that I want to live. In order to do that, I have to know what I want. And this body and mind has a lot of confusion. I remember 5 years ago, I would start every morning with waking up and like finding silence and asking myself, what do you want? And that question and answer is still unraveling. I don't think it's going to be a static answer, but I'm sort of finding it in the process of doing things, right? Like I enjoy exploring, I enjoy creating, and so I'm building a life that involves that. So in a way, I've found it sort of, because it's not in the specifics. I want $1 million like this video is, about, but it's more about the journey of it. And as I'm learning to enjoy the process, it's making big work. But yeah, connecting with myself. I'm working with like a movement specialist, doing therapy that I'm spending a fair amount of money on. And this is about just feeling myself more. So when I run, a lot of times I'll run, but in a lot of meets, I would like, back in the day, I would just choke. I didn't even, like, I was disconnected competing, and it's because I didn't have like I wasn't like embodied or whatever. And that's what I'm learning as I'm doing like therapy and somatic therapy, and I'm getting a lot better at that. And in running, an analogy that can be used for the rest of life, like if I'm running and I'm tight, then while I'm trying to push my leg into the ground using a hamstring, my quad will also be activated and stifling the hamstring's ability to push it forward. So you really have to be like relaxed and let it flow. And there's a balance of like pushing yourself and also being relaxed. And that applies to life and also like the pursuit of the things that I want. And as I align more with myself, finding what I want and then being able to more clearly seek, pursue, and like achieve those goals. So like this rattle jig has been on hold for a long time because I'm putting other priorities first. I've seen myself in many situations where when people like wanted me to get things done, or when I had deadlines for like school, it didn't feel like it was for myself. I put a lot of energy into getting these things done for other people. Subliminally, I don't know if that's the right word. In some sort of way, I was doing it for myself still, but with this like rattle, as my vision becomes clearer, as I realize this is like a real possibility to create income and also create beautiful things for other people. And as I like feel that, I'll be able to move forward better and more clearly. Like, it's hard to explain, I guess, because I'm still figuring it out. But anyways, that's the bonus content. Feeling more connected with myself. And that means connected with all the things that I love, that I want to pursue in this life. So yeah, and I mean, that involves relationships too. That's something that I've been doing so much better in my life, and that's important, right? You can have $1 million, but if you don't have good relationships, what's the point? All right, that's it. Stay tuned for next week. I hope you guys like the video. Like and subscribe, follow me, see me make $1 million. We're really building the foundation here, but it's coming.